Hello there. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I know it's February, but some people say that the official start of 2020 is actually February because we all know what happened in January. Like everything happened. So, yeah, I still have my Christmas tree on. I have my new addition to my room. It's the precious Baby Yoda. I know the official name is a child, but I mean it's Baby Yoda. It is Baby Yoda. It's not. No, I don't. What's this child? I don't know. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed the video. So when I first heard about JoJo Rabbit, and I was like, okay, that's a weird name. First of all, second of all, I read a bit about the plot, and I was like, really, we're making a movie about that again? What? So then I tried watching the trailer, and I watched the trailer and I was like, what? I was so negative towards the movie. I like my head couldn't like accept like what am I seeing? Like I don't know, it's just so ridiculous. And then I don't know when the nominations were, I saw that the movie is nominated for an Oscar, and I was like, how is this movie nominated for an Oscar? I mean, movies that are nominated for an Oscar usually are sad dramas, war films, some history movies. I don't know, like very depressing movies. Anyways, so when I found out, I was like shocked, and I decided to watch the movie. Okay, I started watching the movie. I was like, what? You start by meeting this young guy, this young boy, Jojo, and you then find out that he has an imaginary friend who is actually Hitler himself, and you just stand there and you're like, who, what, why, how? Yeah. Um. Then we find out that this little guy whose name is Jojo, he's he's a real Nazi. He's 10 years old, but he's Nazi. So okay. So he's Nazi. He goes to this camp. He doesn't want to kill this rabbit. Blah blah. So he's called Jojo Rabbit. So later we meet his mother, the gorgeous Scarlett Johansson. She plays his mother. Well, yeah, I already said his mother. I don't know. Anyway, she's his mother, and she's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's stunning. So yeah, she's actually, we find later out that she's part of the resistance. So she's helping them to bring down Hitler and everything. And then later we find out that she has hidden a Jewish girl in their house, and this is where everything starts really. So Jojo finds out, and he wants, of course, to kill her because she is a Jew. But yeah, if he does something against her, then the Nazis will find out, and then his mother and he will get in trouble. So he is kind of torn. The movie shows how Elsa, the name of the girl, and Jojo develop this friendship, and it's beautifully written. He writes a book. So, with her help, he writes a book about Jewish people so he can help the Nazis find the Jewish people and, I don't know, torture them and stuff. And there's some very intense scenes. When the Gestapo, the Nazi police, goes to Jojo's house, um, Elsa says that he's actually Jojo's sister, and this other resistant guy, that I think he's actually from the army, but I also think that he is part of the resistance. He also appears at the same time while the police is there, and the police asks for Elsa's documents, and she gives the documents not to the police but to the army guy who was actually part of the resistance. Um, and he's like, "What's your birth date?" and she says a date. But we later find out that she said actually a wrong date, and that that is how we are kind of like 100% sure that this guy is actually there. He was there to protect them, which was one of which is a really good scene. It was really intense. It's up there with, as I said, the classics. um well written. You could totally feel the intensity. I was like, well, no, no, no. I was like, no. And this is what the good movie is, you know that it won't affect you in real life, but you're sitting there and you're like, please, no. So, yes, Jojo Rabbit. It says right here on Wikipedia, it's a satirical black comedy, but I do think it compares to the Pianist and Schindler's List. I mean, Taika Waititi, he said himself he cannot do drama, but he really expressed all of the you know um sad feelings. He expressed everything a bit for comedy, but in the right way. Um, so it wasn't exaggerated, but it was kind of exaggerated, but not to the point where it's like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like now when I'm editing, I also have to say the movie is really about like sympathy and friendship and loyalty and this crazy people who brainwash people like their nations. And um, there is a scene where Yorkie says that Hitler has killed himself and they are on their own now, and Jojo is starting to question, wait, why are we fighting then? Like, I also always say, why are you fighting? Like, it's not your battle, you know? But anyway, like, I think it's a beautiful story, as I said, about friendship and about sympathy, and the world needs a lot of sympathy. And like through getting to know each other, we can totally achieve this and be more peaceful and loving. And yeah, this is a message from future me and my baby Yoda. So later, which was heartbreaking for me, later Jojo goes out for a walk or whatever, and he sees his mother hanging in the middle of the town, and he just runs towards her and hugs her feet because this is the only thing he can reach. And I wasn't expecting this. Like, I wasn't expecting so many things from this movie, but this was the most shocking one. And when I saw him hugging her feet, I I reminded myself of the previous scenes where we see only the feet of Scarlett Johansson, which is like, I don't want to say beautiful, but a smart foreshadowing of what's to come. Like, I mean, I don't know. It was I was traumatized. And then a few scenes later, obviously the Russians come and the Americans come, and the city where they live is liberated. And yeah, there is this one line by Yorkie, which is the best friend, who is the best friend of Jojo. It's not, he says it's not a good day to be a Nazi.
Yeah, I know, it's definitely not a good time to be a Nazi.
That's like, after all this trauma, you're joking. Okay, but Yorkie, he's one of the best characters in the movie. He's so innocent and pure. He's just a kid who has no idea about anything, and he's just doing what he's taught to do and what they tell him to do. But still, you can see how innocent he is. So also there's this one last scene where the general, not the general, but the army guy that I talked about, that he's part of the resistance. Jojo is put with the other Nazis, and the guy pretends that he's also there, and they're all about to be killed, and he pretends Jojo to be Jewish so he can save his life. And this is really a huge sacrifice. I mean,
yeah, it is a sacrifice because maybe he could have argued his way out, or I don't know, but he decides to scream at Jojo and be like, "Oh, you're a Jew, go away!" And so the Americans see that, and they take Jojo away and they let him go. And this was really like such a sad scene because he's actually a good guy, and he was also just not a good guy because he still did awful things, I assume, but he at least tried to do his best at the end.
So the last scene is where you can see both of the kids, Jojo and Elsa. They're Elsa, actually Jojo, he said to Elsa that actually the Nazis won, and he has a plan for her to escape. And they go out, and she's like, "Wait, no, actually the Americans won. I'm free." And she slaps him, and then she's like, "Okay, it's fine. You're traumatized. I'm traumatized." And they start dancing, and it's the cutest thing ever. And when you think about that, they're basically alone, and they have only each other. It's sad, but it's also happy. And as I said, I think that the movie it's really up there with like the pianist, which is obviously has a totally different tone. Also, Schindler's List. They're just way different movies from Jojo Rabbit, but Jojo Rabbit conveys the same feeling, of desperation, of love, of wanting to be free. So yeah, I think Jojo Rabbit is totally up there with the classics. It's I it's a very good movie. Was it shocking and traumatizing and like, what is this? Ridiculous, but yeah, Taika Waititi, he's a genius, and I cannot wait to see what else he does. And why am I out of breath? I don't. Yeah, this was my review. It's a bit long. I'm trying to cut it, but I hope you like it because I really want to talk about Jojo Rabbit because when I saw it, I was like, I have to talk about this movie. How is this nominated? These were my thoughts before watching it. I was like, how, why? But Jojo Rabbit is totally something out of this world, honestly. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you like, subscribe, share, comment down below because it really means a lot to me. It means that you enjoy it. If you have some suggestions, what to do, what not to do, feel free to let me know. Yeah, and may the first be with you.